The idea of developing the future within a closed set of everything that we like becomes a kind of a tail-chasing circle. We like this, so we do it again. We like it, we do it again. And so instead of doing new, we do slightly different, slightly different, slightly different. And we educate the market and the consumers to like the same, slightly different, slightly different, slightly different. And then we arrive at a stopping point where, you know what, slightly different isn't enough anymore. And we've already terrified ourselves of going anywhere beyond that. So the idea that the consumers out there have not learned to like pretty cars, I wouldn't say is true. I think they like pretty cars. I think they like to see things like that. But I worry that we as car designers have not kept up pace with the challenge of what this product can become so that they can begin to get used to new ideas. It's like music, okay? You hear the same kind of music again and again and again. It's very difficult to suddenly switch to a new kind of music. But you know yourself, once you hear it a couple times, you really like it. And this is what I would like to see happen with the upcoming generation of car designers. To bring character and personality into an inanimate object to the point where you say, that thing's me. That's me. A guy doing a Jaguar can put a Jaguar in front of you and you'll say, that's a Jaguar. And you'll see feline slinkiness about it, and you'll see that predator type of approach, and you're going to see everything about it that word Jaguar has associations, but you're not going to see the little nose and the fuzzy ears and the little tail, right? But he made it a Jaguar. And that's what our profession can do. When we do it right, we can put so much character into something, you don't need to put eyeballs on it to see that it's looking at you. And as we go into autonomous cars, and as we go beyond the automobile as what could become a serious part of our lives, robotics, for instance. I think the added value of car designers in that world is the lever we have to play. It is the lever. If we can start to maybe slowly disassociate ourselves with this love affair of four wheels and start to remember that what we do is character and personality, then I think that this profession is going to outlive many others who get replaced by an app which gives you lots of other design skills at your fingertips. And this is my hope. This is what I'm pushing for. So as you talk about autonomous cars, yeah, we can talk about the business model, and we can talk about what happens when Uber is the #1 purchaser of cars, how do you design cars for that, and et cetera, et cetera. But if we talk about car design, then I think the minute we stop putting personality and character into it, then why are we here? We're at this cusp moment where we're trying to fight the idea that a car can live without a driver. And maybe if we get our heads around the idea of what happens when you turn your car over to a 14-year-old, right, it'll open up our awareness of what the trust level needs to be. I mean, I trust a 14-year-old with an elevator. You trust your daughter to go take the elevator, right? Trust her with the car. Why not? The car's doing the driving, okay? It'll get her home safe. So that idea that the driver in the loop and the interaction of the driver and the driver, you know, the automobile, self-driving moving thing, an elevator is an automobile. And when we get to the trust level of that, which when the elevator was introduced was not there. People were terrified of elevators, right? I mean, this whole idea that we're going to take over an autonomous driving car suddenly at a moment of crisis is to me like saying we're going to put a hole in an elevator so I can see the cables go by, and when the puppy drops I can reach out and grab one. I mean, come on, hello? So if we can really focus on the needs, on the scenarios that people will really enjoy, to focus on the things that makes their lives healthier, happier, and more, let's say, secure, you know, and trustworthy, then your car as your trusted friend moves back into the front slot away from maybe your cell phone, which is right now eroding that position. The discussion of the autonomous driving car, very rarely I see it taken into a longer term perspective. Few people talk about the impact of the autonomous driving car once you have one in your household. Like if you've got one in your house, what's the odds your kids are going to get a driver's license? Okay. And when that happens, within one generation, we've completely changed the model of who's buying cars and why. Right now, we're hung up on the idea of the car as some kind of a substitute for the fireplace. Like we all want to sit around together, and when people talk about the experience of an autonomous car, they often put it in terms of, well, we can all face our seats inward, and we'll have a little campfire and a little community discussion, play poker, I don't know, something like that, right? And, right? Okay? And at the same time, if you look around to, like, let's just say the Uber experience, The Uber experience is a bunch of strangers. Okay? What happens if we design cars for strangers? Like, I don't want to sit in the same space with this guy. What happens if, yeah, what would happen if a car, instead of, we say there's 1 volume cars, 2 volume cars, 3 volume cars, there's such thing as a 5 volume car. Because everybody gets their own volume, right? So the idea is that we can begin to introduce solutions to people for these new challenges and these new opportunities is very valid. But it would be helpful if we encourage young car designers, particularly, to look outside the kind of normative box that they work within and say, okay, step over some of those boundary lines. It's one thing to say you challenge us. I get every week, a young car designer sends me a portfolio and an email. And when I send them back a portfolio, a comment, which is almost always nice, but really didn't wake me up too much. Okay, the response I often get is, yeah, but Mr. Bangle, we have to have a portfolio we get hired by. We're afraid to do something people will think is so unusual they won't hire us. So naturally, that phenomenon was there when I was in this school 35 years ago, and it's there today, right? Young guy in the front row nodding his head. It's there today. We need to, particularly in an institution like this, promote a culture of really looking at the problems, really looking at what it takes to do solutions for them, really looking at how we can push car design into a character developing mode in which it stays a valid profession. And that's my commitment to try and make that happen. And I think the professionals you have up here, they have the best teams in the world, without a doubt, but they need the next generation. That generation probably isn't going to do it. I mean, it could be. But I think the generation coming up is the ones that you're all looking for. You take a bike, you don't go any faster than anybody else. You take a horse, okay, it might run for 10 feet, but after that, it just walks like every other horse. Until the automobile came along, let's leave the motorcycle out for now because it actually did that as well. The motorcycle really empowered you to just pull away from the pack. To do it your way. Not just where you want to go, but to do it at your speed. The plane, you arrive at the same time. The train, you arrive at the same time as everybody else, right? Every law that it came since its introduction was about restricting that right. Right? Okay? Now you're moving towards a world where that world is going to be full of lots of machines that think they have to do it the right way. Okay? The space for the driving enthusiast to do it his way, my fear is going to become narrower and narrower and narrower. They'll always be there, but the space is going to get awful tight.